Welcome everybody. It's Friday night, and we had promised you all that we were going to do one of these live online town hall meetings, and so here we are. It may be a couple minutes late, but we are ready to go. We're going to get that rolling here, and hopefully the notifications will go out here pretty quick, and everybody will be jumping in here and make this another really successful online town hall. We do these live in such a way that you can actually be in the live chat if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook and you are making comments in real time. We actually get to see those, and we can put some of those up on screen. If you have questions or comments that actually pertain to what we're discussing at the time, then we can put those up, and everybody gets a chance to take part in this. So it's not just watching a TV show or listening to a radio show. It's interactive, which I think is way better than just screaming at a TV screen. So that's why we do these things. Let's put that up there on the bottom. If you're not a member of Nebraska Firearms Owners Association, then we would love it if you would be a member. We don't charge any dues. It is 100% free to join. And down there at the bottom of the screen is the website to go to, nebraskafirearms.org. Also, if you want to get emails that we're doing events, online live town halls like this, whatever we're doing, if you're not getting those emails, you can opt into those. Just send us an email from your email address to info@nebraskafirearms.org and let us know that you'd like to be included in the email blasts, and then you will get those too as we send them out. We send them out when we have events coming up, when we have a call to action, we need your help with volunteerism or calling senators, whatever it is. What we don't do is blast you all the time with emails begging for your money. Like I said, we don't charge membership dues. If you want to donate, we absolutely do need donations to keep going, but we won't beg you for them, and we won't clog up your inbox either. All right, we've got a few people here with us tonight. So first and foremost, we've got one other of the NFOA board here with us. We've got our secretary, Nate Griffith. Whoops, let's do that. Here we go. Nate, how are you doing, sir?
Doing pretty well, thanks. How are you?
Doing all right. Glad that you are here with us. And then also, let's see if I can get the full screen part like this time. We have got a special guest with us. The founder of The Second Is for Everyone and Diversity Shoot over there on the East Coast in that, how do we say, the occupied territory of New Jersey. We've got Mr. Tony Simon with us tonight. Tony, how are you?
Hey, guys. Great to be back on with you.
Glad to have you along. Now, some of you may remember here, it's been a couple years ago now, we actually had a diversity shoot with Tony out here in Nebraska. It was held at Athena Arms in Bellevue, and Tony was there for that. So if you got to take part in that event and meet Tony, then you might remember him. Or if you remember us talking about that a couple years ago, I know we had Tony here for an online town hall then as well. So you may recognize him. Let's do this. We'll put everybody up on the screen here so Nate's not feeling left out either. So real quick, I have some notes over there from your website on that private chat off to the side. But you know what? I'm not going to read that. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. So who is Tony Simon?
Who is? I was born a poor black child. So if no one recognizes the intro to the movie Jerk with Steve Martin, that was it. Watch the movie. It's awesome.
Hey, just so you know, I'm picking out a thermos for you.
So I started, my name's Tony. I come from Virginia. That's where I was born and raised. Joined the Corps at 17 years old. Joined the Marine Corps at 17 years old. Finished my time up in the Corps, moved to Jersey, tried to be a gun owner here, and realized all the stupid restrictions. Now, I purchased my firearms in Virginia because even though I was in the Marine Corps, my firearms experience was competitive air gun shooting in high school, firearm ownership because it was no big thing down in Virginia. So when I got out, what I really liked was surplus guns. I thought they were really cool because they have a story. So that's what I purchased. And when I got to Jersey, I wanted to try to be involved in shooting. And they wouldn't even let me touch a gun in the gun store because I didn't have something called a firearms ID card. I'm like, a what? And they were like, oh, it's a firearms ID card. You have to get that. You have to apply for it. You have to know 2 people that are not related to you. I'm like, I just moved to the state. How would I know 2 people not related to me well enough to ask them, can they sign paperwork to say I can buy a gun? So I was just totally disgusted, and I walked away. Fast forward 20 years, and a friend of mine convinced me to go ahead and purchase firearms, part of our preparedness circle of people who, let's all get the same caliber stuff. Let's get this. Let's train together. And I picked up a Ruger 1022. And being someone who's in the Marine Corps and also on the rifle team, I assumed I know the principles involved. I went to the range and I sucked. So I ended up taking a class from him. And I really enjoyed the fact that it went from pizza box size groups to a thumbnail size group at 25 yards with one class. And I was like, hey, I want to do that. So I became a firearms instructor, was laying everything out to be the best firearms instructor the world's ever seen. And then Sandy Hook happened, and New Jersey launched 76 different anti-gun laws like the next day. And because this would have stopped Sandy Hook. And I'm like, you don't even know how the guy got the guns, and you have like 76 bills already proposed. And that was my first inkling of how jacked up gun control is, and the fact that they exploit tragedies while they're happening, because the blood has to be fresh for them to dance in it. And it ticked me off, because as the truth came out, because that's their enemy time, none of the laws they had in place would have stopped this man from killing his mother, taking her guns, and killing people. And that's when I became active, and I started writing a letter. Me and my partner sat around for Sunday and wrote a letter that was straight to the point. And I used social media for the very first time to spread it. We had over 15,000 likes and shares of that particular letter. It actually went viral, and that's how I started testifying and getting involved in 2A advocacy. And after I left my second speech that I gave in front of the assembly, I realized there were no Blacks, Hispanics, very few women. And I'd been involved in Second Amendment groups in the state, so I knew them all. And I contacted them, said, hey, do we have some kind of thing that can welcome these people in to the community and get them involved in advocacy immediately? Because we need them now. We need to fight this battle now. And all of them said no. And my partner was like, well, why don't you start something? So I did. 2015, February 2015, I started the African American Diversity Shoot, because it was Black History Month. So I had about 100 messages asking, can white people come? Yes. And a lot of people were interested. 25 people said they would come. So of course, the day of the event, 4 people actually showed up. Mm-hmm. And that's, internet math. And I wasn't even charging. It was free of charge. Just show up, get information. We had volunteers. It was me and my partner. 4 people showed. And we started discussing what is involved to get your pistol purchase permit in Jersey, firearms ID card in Jersey. One of the guys was from another country. We were talking about what is involved in him, being able to get his paperwork. And then all of a sudden because these guys are Black and Hispanic, the 4 people that showed up. And then another Black guy showed up who was really clean cut, well dressed. Looked like Steve Urkel from, it's like Steve Urkel trying to dress to impress. And he had a haircut that looks like, you walk into the barbershop and said, I'd like the haircut of the police officer that's definitely going to give you a ticket. So I'm like, okay. Hey, how you doing, guy? Where do I know you from? We how did you hear about it? And he gave me some bullcrap name. And again, I only knew a total of 24 people on the internet, and these were actually friends of mine. Like my Facebook friends were friends. And I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about. Comes out he was with the state police, New Jersey State Police Firearms Investigation Unit. And they saw that I had something during Black History Month, introducing people to firearms, and they sent, I guess, the Black guy from the office over to see what was going on. And I was like, I'm glad you're here, because we're here to ask answer any question these guys have. And you are our subject matter expert right now. So these guys asked him questions, he answered them, and then we went to the range to shoot guns that we bought. And this guy ended up having a STI 1911 and 45 ACP. And that was what, $3,500, maybe $4,500 back then. He had one of those, and we shot the snot out of it. We tried to shoot we tried to wear the sights out. We shot it so much. But that was my very first one. I was kind of embarrassed because, again, I thought 24 people were going to show up. But Anthony Calandro insisted I'd keep doing it at Gun for Hire range. And we did it every other month until 2020 when COVID hit and our beloved governor shut down all the ranges in the state as non-essential. Well, because I'm on several podcasts and I try to be on as many other people's podcasts as possible, the Heritage Guild in Pennsylvania heard about me, and their governor didn't shut their ranges down. So he invited me out there. So I decided to set up a schedule. So we had one event a month. So we thereby doubled the number of events we had in 2020. And that was great. 2021 rolled around and another range in Jersey opened up and they didn't fall under the COVID restrictions. So we started doing them one month, Heritage Guild the next month. And by the end of 2020, we had Gun for Hire back. 2021, you guys called and I went out there and did an event there. And by the time I got back, 2022, we were doing an event every 2 weeks. So that's where we're at now. Next week, we were scheduled to do, what is it called? The Great Plains Diversity Shoot Expedition. Originally, it was supposed to be in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Kansas City, and Lincoln, Nebraska. It didn't work out that way. We were doing it with NRA ILA. They were actually going to co-host. And funding fell through for travel. And it was not enough time, in my opinion, to promote it like it should be promoted. I mean, in my opinion, something like this, if we're going to be doing 3 states, we need to put out press releases. We need to at least have 3 months build up to put it out, to have flyers in the ranges that we're going to be in, to allow the Second Amendment groups in the state to actually at least put it in their minutes or their notes to their members. So people know. I mean, it has to be built up because you're going through a lot of trouble. Rangers are either volunteering their time or volunteering their range space. Your volunteers are coming out during that day. You want to make it worthwhile. You want to get as much bang for the buck. I thought you guys did an amazing job. And pretty much all the template for how you did it when we were out there. We did 3 diversity shoots that day, starting in the morning. Then we had another one in the afternoon and had lunch, served lunch to the people that were there. And then we had a third one. And I think that was a great use of the time. Mm-hmm. And but you need to be able to advertise that and exploit it and turn it into a Second Amendment festival. And I think that was missing. It felt rushed. And the last thing I want to do is fly across the country, especially on my own dime, and have 4 or 5 people show up during a weekday diversity shoot. So that's what happened. But I have Train and Learn in St. Louis coming up, and I needed to come up with training expenses, and people have been donating to our PayPal. They've been donating to the Cash App and the Venmo. So they've helped us, take care of that and secure that funding. And what I'm doing now is starting a 501c3. I figured 8 years of doing this, I thought it would pay for itself. But what's happening is the more events we do, the more money goes out because you have to pay for each event. And because we're doing such a quick turnaround of 2 weeks, we're barely getting the money from the last event before we have to pay for the next event. And if it's a slow event, you don't have enough money to pay for it. Last night, the pizzas were $118, pizzas and drinks. It's like, well, that ate up a lot of money. And then, but we have an ammo sponsor now, which is awesome, ammolab.com. They came through because it was really beating my guys up financially to come up with their ammo every 2 weeks because we go through about 200 rounds a person. So about 1,000 rounds an event. So Ammo Lab came through. They sent some 5.56. They sent some 9mm. So my guys are really happy. We had almost 20 people last night, and it was hilarious because it looked like I was shooting a commercial for the diversity shoot. That everybody was so diverse, and me and the jokes and stuff. And I was like, "Hey, this is the perfect diversity shoot. We have to take a picture of this." And it was Puerto Ricans, it was Sikhs, it was Egyptian Muslims, it was Asians, and it was what was it? And a lady from Hungary. I'm like, this is just crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was really great because we had fun, and yes, I made jokes about everybody there, and and we really spoke about a lot of things, including upcoming legislation, court cases that New Jersey just got slapped down by Judge Bum. And they can't institute some of their draconian carry laws, regulations. And it was just a lot of fun. We introduced them to guns. The lady from Hungary, she's originally lived in New York City, so she has a bunch of friends there she wants to bring down. The Sikh kid was at our diversity shoot last week. Usually the bravest person in the social circle comes out, sees what kind of event it is, and then they show up with their friends. He came out last week, liked what he saw, showed up with 4 friends last night. Awesome. The Egyptian kid came last year for the first time solo. No, he wasn't solo because he was 17, so he had to be with his older brother. He showed up, 2 of them. They had fun. Next thing you know, they came with 2 other people. And then they came with 4 people. And then it was 8 people. And then they just started bringing more and more people to the events. So last night, it was hilarious because they just kept coming in the door. And since I know the guys, I started laughing. And everybody didn't know what I was laughing. I'm like, we have Sikhs. We have Egyptian Muslims. We have Hispanics. I was like, oh, yeah, this is the one that's going to launch the second investigation into us. Oh, this is the one that's going to get us on that FBI watch list again. But it was a great time. Recoil Range in Monroe, New Jersey was really great with us. They provided eye and ears for everybody because that's an expense if you don't get it. I mean, and you want people to have headphones because they feel like, even though they don't work as well as foamies, people somehow feel better with this big thing squeezing their brain bucket, especially first timers, because you're not running an 8-hour class. If you're running an 8-hour class, you're like, I'll take foamies.
Yeah.
But so they had a great time. The range provided, and I really felt vindicated in the work we do because it took time to get word out. It takes time for people to trust you with their family and friends. I mean, all of that is vindication of what we're doing is the right thing. And we welcome questions. Everybody doesn't have to be on the same page. So we talk about things like all of you, regardless of what people say, because visually, there were people that, the guys had the headgear on. I don't know the correct name for Sikh headwear, so I won't even try, but you guys know what I'm talking about. People will see that, the beards, they would see the Muslim kid and look at his timeline and see he's devout Muslim, and they would be like, those people shouldn't have guns. And I'm like, no, those people are Americans. All of them were born here. You know what I mean? All of them believe in the Constitution. The kid, the 17-year-old Egyptian kid finally turned 18, wants to join the military, but he has immigrant parents, and they ain't letting that happen. You're going to college, boy, whether you like it or not. And he's like, dude, I really want to join the Marine Corps, but they won't let me. I was like, just go to college like your parents want. If you want to join the Corps after that, you can. I was like, but don't fight that battle. But it was really great to see these guys out. Everybody had a great attitude, great sense of humor. I asked the Sikh kids, I'm like, kids, they were in their 20s. Who has, who has the guns in your circle? 2 of them raised their hands. I was like, all right, cool. Around how many you got? It's like 30 or so each. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. And I went around the room, and one of the Hispanic guys, who's a coworker, he was like, got 6. I was like, get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
Those are rookie numbers.
It was great. We had the Hungarian lady that had never shot a gun before. By the end of the day, she shot the high point bullpup I have. She's fired the 9mm modern material rifle, which is an AR builder, AR manufacturer out of New Jersey. She just shot a lot of stuff. She shot 5.56. She didn't know. This is an AR-15. I thought it was something. Nope. I guess she thought it was as big as 10 boxes.
Uh-huh. As heavy as 10 boxes, you may be moving.
Yeah, so she was amazed by it, and her smile. I don't think you could have blown it off her face with dynamite.
Wow.
So that was really great. She had her 17-year-old, 18-year-old son. He was like, "Oh, we're definitely coming back. We're definitely coming back with more people." So it is just awesome. Our next event is like on the, I think, 13th or 18th or something. But I can't wait because it's introducing more people to their Second Amendment civil right, but it's also the natural right of self-defense. I leave God out and God-given right because people want to, it's the internet, people want to argue. So I'm like, okay, how's this nature? Nature. Animals are born with claws, teeth, thick hides. We're born with intellect, opposable thumbs, and firearms. And that's how we protect our young. And it's that simple. And it's not a right given by the government. It's a right that the government shouldn't be able to touch. So that's what I do. And that's what I hope to spread across the country.
That's very cool. Now, I know you had said that I'm going to butcher the name, the Great Plains Diversity Shoot Expedition.
There
Is
you
that
go.
what it was?
Mhm.
I know that fell through.
Yeah.
And I know that you're not able to make the way out west this year. However, we do have good news for those of you that are in the Lincoln area or have friends and family in the Lincoln area who may be interested in attending such an event, because originally you had scheduled the Lincoln event to be on this coming Tuesday, May 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
And when I found out that it was not going to work the way that you had intended it to work, and the way that some of your other sponsorship had planned on, I called our president, Trish Harold, and it wasn't a question of, are we going to do this? It was just, what do we need to do to make this happen? Because I knew what she was going to say. In fact, I called it. I told Tony on the phone what Trish was going to say, and it was almost verbatim when I called her. And it was really cool. I caught her on break time at work, so she only had about 2 minutes to talk, but it was a productive 2 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and have, we won't call it Diversity Shoot. That's Tony's event. And out of respect, we're not going to take your brand, but we are just going to call it, I think on the Eventbrite, it's an intro to handguns, family fun shoot event, free fun shoot event. That's what it says. We're going to do this. It's going to be happening again this Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023, in case you're watching this years later. And it's going to happen from 5 to 7. So we do have, I think I've got the Eventbrite link in the description of this video. I do, on both Facebook and on YouTube. So if you're watching on either one of those, then you can go down in the description and find that link. We're going to have 3 sessions. They'll each last about an hour. So we'll start one at 5. We'll start one at, it'll go till 6. We'll start one at 5:30 that goes to 6:30, and then we'll start one at 6 o'clock that goes to 7. This is going to happen in Lincoln at Big Shots Indoor Range. I cannot tell you the exact address, but quick Google search will pull that up. It's over on the west edge of Lincoln. It's over, if you know where Sun Valley Lanes bowling alley is, it's not too far from there. They're almost next door to each other. But we will try to find, Nate, if you get a chance to pull up the exact street address for Big Shots and throw it in that side chat for me, I'll put it up on the screen. You're awesome. Thank you. Somebody ought to make you secretary of their organization. So
point of order.
Unfortunately, again, we don't have Tony there, so I thought it was super important that we got to have at least a chance to have this conversation with you here online tonight. But for all of you, again, if you live in the Lincoln area and you have friends who maybe aren't quite sure about firearms, this is the event to bring them to. If you don't live in the Lincoln area, but you have friends or family who, heck, I don't care if you have enemies, bring them, send them, get the word out. We only have a few days to get the word out, so I need everybody's help to please share the links, share this video. You can share it right now, and it'll be available again. People can watch it as soon as we wrap this up. You can start it back from the beginning at any point, and so you can get all the details. But we really want to make this an event that draws people. A couple years ago, again, that was over in Bellevue. This year, we're doing it in Lincoln. So Big Shots Indoor Range has let us have some of their space. They're going to supply the eyes and ears, so you don't have to bring anything. They're going to supply the firearms out of their rental fleet. We have Mead Ammo out of Wood River, Nebraska, has graciously donated some 9mm ammo for this event, so we definitely want to thank them as well. In fact, I just got a care package in the mail with some swag from them, so go check out meadammo.com and give them some love. A nice Nebraska-based ammo company. They're not as big as Hornady, but I tell you what, they actually they build the equipment that Hornady, Remington, Fiocchi, Tula, you name it. There's probably not a major ammo factory on the planet that doesn't have equipment that Mead Industries builds. They build the machines that build the ammo. And so during COVID, when they weren't traveling all across the globe selling machines, they unboxed a couple and put them into work loading ammo for themselves and made their own ammo company out of the deal. So go check those folks out as well and give them some love. So yeah, between Big Shots and Mead Ammo and NFOA, we're going to make this happen. I don't know how many volunteers we need, but we would sure love it if everybody showed up. I would much rather have people standing around because we've got more hands than work than the other way around. We're going to need some, again, I've got to talk to Big Shots. I don't think they're supplying all of the instructors. And what we want to do is have just one-on-one instruction. So everybody that comes through the first session, they learn why we're doing this. We give them a safety briefing. Then we take them out to the range and they get to work one-on-one with an instructor. So it would be great if we don't have them standing in line waiting for their turn. And we're not going to have a full-on lesson where we're going to take a pizza box-sized group and shrink it down to a thumbnail-sized group. What we are going to do is take those folks that have never shot a firearm and give them a chance to do it. And that's what this is about. So it'll be a couple rounds, and they can say that they have at least they've fired a gun. They know what it's all about. They got shown how to do it safely and responsibly, which is huge. And the goal for this is just what Tony said. We need to bring more people than ever into the fold. You may have noticed that we had recently here in Nebraska, we had some legislation that just got passed that will make us the 27th state in the union to have permitless concealed carry now. And I did see a question about that, and tonight's not about that, but the date that takes effect is 3 months after the last day of the legislative session. So the session's scheduled to end on June 9th, but with all these bills coming through and all the overtime, if that date changes, then the effective date of the bills passed will change. So tentatively September 10th, but that's not locked in stone until the session is over. So keep that in mind out there. So that passed with 0 votes to spare. We have exactly the right number of people that voted to get that, to break that filibuster and end that debate. We didn't have any votes to spare. That means that we need to bring as many people as we can that aren't me, that aren't old fat white guys with a beard, into the fold, because we've got plenty of firearm owners that look like me. I'm the stereotypical firearm owner. What we want are the people that don't necessarily look like me or think like me, the ones that don't vote the same way that I do, the ones that don't go to church the same way that I do or love the same way that I do. those people, just like Tony said, everybody is an American citizen, and the Second Amendment really is for everyone. And sometimes it's hard to get out of our own head and get past the thought of, well, I'm okay with people like me having guns, but I don't know if I want those people having guns. But those people have all the rights that you do. We have a piece of parchment under glass in Washington, D.C. that's over 200, almost 250 years old now that says that. And so, that being the case, we need to make sure that we honor that as well. So we want to bring all those extra people in, because the more awareness we have of not only how firearms work, that the news is lying, that the 9mm won't blow your lung clear out of your body, and that a 5.56 NATO round out of an AR-15 will not explode the deer. In fact, most Nebraska deer are big enough that that's probably not the best round to hunt deer with, to be honest. But chances are, if you're hearing my voice, you probably knew that. I'm looking for the people that didn't realize that have no idea why we would even consider owning one of these evil, terrible murder machines, right? So we need to bring those folks in, the ones that are at least willing to have an open mind. And we need to prove a couple things. We need to prove that we're not bloodthirsty people that care more about cold dead hands and shall not be infringed than their children's lives. They need to understand, like Tony said, that animals are born with claws and fangs and horns, whatever, to help protect their young, protect themselves and their youngins. And we're born with opposable thumbs and firearms for the same purpose. And so we really do, as firearm owners, we love our kids, right? That's why we want them protected, and we want the chance to protect them everywhere we go. But we can't get people to see that if they think that we're completely opposed to them, that we don't want them. And so the hardest thing is to, again, get out of our own heads and open those arms up, extend the hand of friendship to everyone we meet, and say, look, I don't care who you are. I don't care what you believe or any of this stuff. We're not going to talk at this event. We're not going to bring up politics. We're not going to bring up any kind of debates. I don't even want to hear about, who's going to win the World Series or any of that. None of that's important. The only thing that's important is that you are a person who deserves your own protection. You deserve the right to protect yourself. And we want you to be in our club. And we need everybody to be in our club, because the more folks we can bring in across these vast, diverse, and trust me out there, kids, diversity is not a dirty word, no matter how much you think that it's been kind of hijacked. But having a diverse membership is a good thing, and that's what keeps us going. That's what keeps our rights from being infringed upon, is knowing that everybody is pulling the same direction, and that we're all on the same team. And so we can disagree on every other topic, but when it comes to firearms ownership, if somebody agrees with me, then I will consider them my ally in this fight. So that's what we want.
One of the harder things to do is actually reach outside of your comfort zone. We're not trying to meet people halfway, because you can meet people halfway and stay in your comfort zone and accomplish nothing.
Yeah.
We need to reach 60%. We need to go outside our comfort zone, talk to people, and understand that if you're a conservative Republican and you only vote as a conservative Republican, your Democratic legislator isn't going to care, because you're never going to vote for them anyway. What we need to do is bring across armed Democrats that believe in their Second Amendment rights, or actually have open discussions as individuals, not in a chat room, not beating up on them with 10 of your friends, but actual conversations face to face with the other person who brings their kid to the soccer game, the other person that brings their kid somewhere to the doctor's office. We have to have those conversations and be open and answer questions with more than bumper sticker logic. Just go from, I want to take care of my kids too. I want to make sure my kids aren't hurt. And depending on the police is not the way to do that, because the police, no matter how much they are willing to or not willing to, can't be everywhere at the same time. And between Nashville and Uvalde, we had two completely different police reactions to a mass shooting. 180-degree difference. You don't know what cop you're going to get at your emergency. So you have to bail you out. And let's start at a common place. We both want to save kids' lives. We can't depend on the government because it is not law enforcement's duty to protect you as an individual unless they have you in custody. It's that simple. We have to talk about us and our feelings, not just facts, not just numbers, but how it affects you and your family. And it kind of sucks if you're a white male, because I know you guys can't catch a break.
We are so oppressed, dude, let me tell you.
But it's really time for a majority of the white males to support others who are fighting the good fight that don't look like you. So look for like Maj Toure and Black Guns Matter, myself, Kevin Dixie, No Other Choice. You're going to have to put other people forward, like Sarah from Hold My Guns, and other people that are fighting for different rights. Sarah, Hold My Guns. If you're going through some mental issues, you're going through depression, you're getting deployed and you need to lock your guns up. She runs an organization called Hold My Guns, which allows you to take the guns to your FFL and they can hold the firearms for you. And you don't have to worry about someone breaking into your house, taking them. You don't have to worry about your depression getting the best of you in the middle of the night. The guns are gone. They're secure. If you're going through a messy divorce and you've overheard or she's threatened you with, I'm going to call the police and say you pointed a gun at me. Man, get your butt down there to that FFL and turn your firearms in, and they're in their possession. I don't have them. I can't get to them. So she does that. We have Walk the Talk America that allows you to self-screen yourself for depression and mental issues anonymously on their website so you can get help. The firearms side of things, we're doing stuff. The more you learn, the better you are at these discussions at the soccer game, at the water cooler, at work. Don't just go, oh, the percentage, and that's not going to work because they have their percentages too of cherry-picked circumstances and words. United States is the only English-speaking industrialized country that has a quarter in their currency that has these mass shootings happen. What?
That is true, though.
Yeah. And it's like, let's not talk about Serbia, right? Let's not talk about the fact that it wasn't assault weapons, it was handguns. And they've convinced the Serbians to turn in 17,000 of their firearms, even though they had really strict gun laws there. And nothing would have stopped this kid from taking dad's guns and doing what he did.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you got to be human. You got to be seen as human. You can't just repeat bumper sticker logic. Cold dead hands really doesn't mean a lot to some people. Even 1776 doesn't mean a lot to some people. So let's talk about personal and what it means to you. Whether it's hunting tradition, whether it's safety and security, but what does it mean to you? And let's have that conversation.
That's exactly the conversation that I love to have, honestly. But it's hard. I mean, you know, as gun owners, I mean, we've been pushed around so much. We've been beaten down over the years with so many regulations that, yeah, we get indignant, right? It's very difficult to not walk around with that chip on our shoulder, especially when somebody makes a flippant remark that to us sounds like, you know, well, that person's just the dumbest person ever for not realizing the things that are plain as the nose on their face, right? But again, we have to step back and realize that not everybody looks at the world the same way that we do. If everybody looked at the world the same way that everybody else did, I mean, it'd be a pretty boring place, honestly. Sometimes, you know, these conflicting ideas, that's where growth comes from. And honestly, I've said this for years. It's actually healthy to have your beliefs challenged because only good things can come. And there's two possible outcomes. Number one, you're going to have your beliefs challenged. You're actually going to have to make sure that you know why it is you believe what you believe. And in that debate, that discussion, it's just going to completely solidify what your beliefs are, and it's going to reinforce that even more for you. So you're going to know what you're about. And that's a healthy thing to have happen. The other possible outcome is you're going to find out that your beliefs really aren't that strong to begin with. They're built on a pretty flimsy foundation. And if it takes just a little bit of debate or discussion to make that crumble, then maybe it's time to open your mind up and change your opinion a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with changing your opinion when you've been brought new data to deal with, to process, that you had never, or even just a new perspective that you hadn't considered before. And if you change your opinion again, it was healthy for you. So that's what growth is as a human being. And so it's not a bad thing when people challenge our beliefs. It does help. Again, it just helps you to know exactly why you believe what you believe. Once we kind of get there, then it helps us a little bit as we deal with somebody else. You know, we can say, well, I understand your perspective and I can see why you look at the world the way that you do. You know, here's the way that I look at the world and here's why. And yeah, it's not always going to work, but sometimes we can get that one person where, you know, we plant that little seed and then that seed gets watered over the years and it grows, and pretty soon we've got somebody like our friend Robin Sandoval down in Texas, who used to be one of those moms wearing a red T-shirt demanding that common sense gun control action. She is now executive director of one of the largest women's shooting leagues organizations. It's coast to coast in the whole country, and she's done an about face. She's an amazing person to talk to. She's got the perspective from having stood on both sides of this gorge, and you know, her mind was changed with facing reality one day. She finally was ripped out of the world that we wish was, and was faced to acknowledge the world that is.
Yep.
And so, unfortunately, I mean, fortunately for her, nothing bad happened. She was playing the what if game, and nothing bad had to happen to make that change in her mind. But we can't have these conversations if we're not even willing to reach out and talk to the people who don't agree with us. And that's what this is about for us to have an event like this out here in Nebraska, is because, believe it or not, we don't all think the same, act the same, vote the same. You get into Lincoln and it's a very when I say democratic, I mean as far as political party registration, there are a lot of Democrat voters in Lincoln. A lot of Democrat senators go to our state government, our state legislature from there. And again, if you want them to start respecting the Constitution and upholding the oath that they swore when they took their position in the state legislature, then we've got to have the conversation with the people that vote for them. Those of us that don't live in Lincoln, we don't get to vote for those district senators. So we need to have conversations with the people that do, to make sure that they know that this is something that is important, and show them why it's important to them too, not just us, so that they're actually choosing lawmakers that reflect their own beliefs.
Something else that's important that I found out: you can't don't just talk to people that agree with you.
Yeah.
Because the people that agree with you see things from your perspective many times. Talk to people that disagree with you or are on the fence, and not talk at them, talk to them. Actually have a exchange of ideas, not wait for them to pause for you to get your next point across. Reason being, you'll learn how you sound to them, and then you go, oh, wait a minute, that's not how I meant to sound. You know what I mean? That's not, I know what I meant when I said it, but you didn't hear that. You interpreted it as something else. So you may have to learn to change your language for the people that don't understand the difference between semi-automatic and full automatic, for the people that doesn't see a difference between clip and magazine. And it's not about semantics, it's about how they interpret what you're saying. And you may have to change the wording you use. That's all, because it's not a point that they get. When we say, and it's funny to us, they're like, oh, well, these weapons of war don't belong in our streets. And most 2A absolutists go, that was the whole freaking point. is to have weapons of war on the street. I mean, that was the point of the second.
That's why it was put in the Constitution.
Yeah, well, the soccer mom ain't ready for that right now. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, do you think you should have an aircraft carrier? Yeah, what do you think I'm going to do? Rob a liquor store with a $5 billion aircraft carrier? I'm like, what do you think I'm going to do if I have that loot? So, but yeah, they're not ready for that conversation, and you're going to have to tailor it, because talking about personal experiences really help, but learn what they're hearing, not just what you're saying. That helps a lot. It helped me change. It helped me rewrite a speech because of what I was saying in that speech, and I took it to some of the guys that don't agree with me. And I'm good. I'm good with that, because we try to keep it respectful, even though I go, what dumbasses. We try to keep it respectful. And they were like, well, what does that mean? And I break it down what it means, because they're then under the impression that stand your ground laws are racist, and stand your ground laws in Florida are racist. And I'm like, have you ever looked into the stand your ground laws in Florida and how many Black people use it and don't end up going to jail because they have to defend themselves against criminals in their own neighborhood? And they look at me like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's information you can actually look up. And of course, they never do it. Right. So now it's just, oh, well, that's your opinions. It's not an opinion. It's an FBI crime statistic report that comes out every year, because police departments across the country have to actually input that. I mean, they might pencil screw it, but they have to input that information. And they're looking at you like, I need all my information spoon fed to me by the person I like. And you're not Anderson Cooper or that lady that looks like a man that looks like a lady. Was it Rachel Maddow? Yeah. I'm like, what is that? Seriously? Like, you look like somebody that could have been a pretty lady, but you're dressing like it looks like somebody in an 80s movie that's trying to dress like a man in an 80s movie and get a job. It's like, what is that? It's just badly done. But yeah, so you have to talk to people, and you have to also get ready to be frustrated. Sometimes you have to understand you're not going to get through to everyone. Don't get frustrated. Walk away. This ain't a blood match. But what you might do, because you've respectfully walked away, is there's a third or fourth or fifth person in that room that saw how you handled yourself. And they might not say anything, but they're over on the corner with their phone, and they're going to Google it and go, whoa, he wasn't lying. Whoa, the people with concealed carry have less arrest than police officers.
Yeah.
And it's like, I never knew that. I never knew that more people were killed with hands and feet than AR-15s every year. More people drown in pools than are killed with AR-15s. And this is some of the stuff I talk about in my classes to go, this is stuff you may not know. I'm like, how's this? They're not concerned about the people that care about your safety. Never mention about 99% of other gun violence deaths, and they have no plans for them. Have you ever heard them talk about suicide prevention? Have you ever talked about funding mental health programs? Because they never do. It's always ban, 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 ban.
Well, they bring up the mental health because they want you to pass a red flag law in your state if you haven't got one already that lets them not ban the guns. They just get to come in and confiscate them.
And they also want to be able to call whatever you are a mental health issue. Oh, yeah. You own too many guns. That's a mental health issue. Oh, you're a veteran. That's a mental health issue. Oh, you're a retired cop, so you probably have PTSD. That's a mental health issue. Oh, you want to see somebody about depression. That's a mental health issue. Yeah. And what helps is if you do know about groups like Walk the Talk America, you go, well, this is what the gun side is doing. And you just start naming stuff off that they can look up. And you go, why don't you tell me what the Giffords are up to? How about Moms Demand? Because they tried to do the gun safety thing, but they'd have to admit that guns have a way of being used safely, and that didn't last 2 years.
I tell you what, Walk the Talk America, I've known some of those guys for several years now, and the things that they can't tell us about are the real victories most of the time. So for those of you not familiar, you can go to WTTA.org and check that out. But their website, I mean, they don't have a whole lot of stuff really on there. You can get that free mental health screening right there, and it is completely anonymous. But the thing is, they actually have people on their board that are from the firearm community. One of their founders actually used to own one of the larger firearm importers on the East Coast there.
Right here in Jersey, baby.
Yeah, he imported every Bursa and several other firearms. They all came through him to get into the States. And one of the other founding members has been a mental health clinician for, I don't know how many years now, but double digits, decades. And these guys and several others came together to form this organization so that they've got a foot in the firearms world. They get it. They all understand how important these rights are and why people don't want them taken away. But at the same time, they also have a foot and therefore a voice in the mental health clinician world, or the mental health care industry. And the real, like I said, they can't tell us about much of it, but I do know just real vaguely that most of their victories have come on that end, just opening the eyes of the mental health care professionals as to why it is that veterans or somebody that's been through trauma doesn't want to go seek help because they're afraid they're going to lose their firearm rights or whatever else might happen. And it's been really, really beneficial for those people that do seek out help to be able to find help that actually gets it right and will assure them that they're not trying to do any gotchas where, now you said the magic word, so now I can push this button and the men in the white coats come or whatever. It's not like that.
They're coming to take me away. Oh no.
Right. So yeah, there's so many great organizations out there that are working to help bridge this gap.
One more I'd like to throw out there real quick.
Yeah.
Because Dr. John Adine is a friend of mine, and I don't think people hear about this organization enough. It's Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership.
Yeah.
drgo.us. And they are the doctors that go, yeah, you should own firearms. It's none of your health provider's business, but here are some ways to answer the question. So if you go to drgo.us, Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership, they have articles on that. What do you do when your doctor asks about guns? They have a thing you can click on and ask. They also have 2adoc.com, which connects patients with gun-friendly providers. So there is hope for us as gun owners that we won't be ambushed at the doctor's office. I've been blessed because both of my primary care physicians and my specialists know what I do. But I'm also a firearms instructor, so people can swallow that pill a little bit better as an instructor. But if I was just a firearms enthusiast, some people have that's a bridge a little too far. Like, why do you have so many guns? And I'm like, so many? No, so many would be a museum. But it's important for us to learn the groups, to point to people, to show them we're in this, and we're not just a bunch of wackos. We have clinicians, we have doctors, we have people, minorities that run group, we have women's groups. The more you know about these groups and organizations, the more well-rounded you sound. And also, Second Amendment organizations like Nebraska Firearms Owners Association is local. You can see them, you can hang out with them. I've broken bread with them. These are the people who are fighting for your state's rights. Understand, when you go to national level, your state might not have the priority with them, but Nebraska Firearms Association cares about Nebraska. Right. So join your local, and plus they're exorbitant fees to become a member of the Nebraska Firearms Owners Association.
Tell you what, we're actually, I'll cut the membership fee in half for everybody that comes out to our event next Tuesday.
Can't beat that with a stick. Right. So, matter of fact, listen, how's this? Everything you pay me for tonight's podcast, I'll donate to you guys to cover the other half.
There we go.
Membership.
All right. That
But
that makes it pretty darn attractive for people to show up then.
I just look. I became passionate about this because they attacked us.
Yeah.
When I started reading the history about it, when I combined it with understand when I was born, I'm the first generation of Black American born with the same rights as everyone else. 1968 was the last of the civil rights bills that passed. It was a housing bill, 68. That means the oldest Black person in America born with the same rights as a white person isn't even 56 years old.
Right.
So don't have people don't let people trick you into, well, that was forever ago. It wasn't forever ago. The oldest person is not old enough to collect Social Security. They're still mad that they got an AARP application in the mail. That's how young they are, because they mailed it to you at 50. So that's how young this is. It's not long ago. Understand that they've been pushing to take these civil rights from people immediately. Brady Bill came out in the 80s. I forgot what they were called because they had to keep changing their name because of the fails that they keep racking up. NRA has been the NRA since the end of the Civil War. It's like they don't have to change their name, but Brady had to change their name. Mom's a Man is the newest iteration. March for Our Lives is an iteration of something else. They all fail and they come back and they try again. We as gun owners have to become advocates. We have to become aggressive as voters.
Yeah.
And we have to participate. Look, the time to sit on your ass and just let other people handle it has been over for a long time. We're where we are because of the incrementalism of them taking our rights a slice at a time, a slice at a time. And now with Bruin, we're winning them back. And a whole lot of people ready to hit the easy button, kick back and go, we're going to win in courts every time. No, we're not. What we have to do is what they're doing. They're attacking us on every level. They're attacking us culturally, with TV shows and your movies. They're hitting you through your social media and the restrictions they put on everything from YouTube to Twitter to all the other things. They put restrictions on it. They freaking have you ambushed at school. If your kid talks about guns you have at home, they sit there and how many kids had their house raided over Zoom meetings in school because there was a BB gun behind them on the wall? All of those are attacks on the firearms culture of this country, to the point they want you to somehow be ashamed of it. No other country has this. Well, no other country's awesome. No other country's walked on the moon. No other country's helped win 2 world wars because they were holding out because they needed us. All right? No other country's done many other things we've done, including very few countries have as diverse a race and population as densely populated as us. Who's next? We have everyone from the world, and we have about 370 million of them here. Most of crimes start happening in cities when they get over 250,000. That's like the tipping point where all of a sudden crime increases. How many cities do we have throughout this country that has that much population? All over the East Coast, all over the West Coast, all over. Oh, it's nowhere like this in the world because everywhere else sucks. Everywhere else is secondary to how densely populated we are, the resources we have, and the diversity that is America. So yeah, it's kind of easy if everybody around you is lily white, comes from the same culture, and speaks the same language. They don't have this issue in Japan because they all speak the same language. They have the same history. They've been a homogenous people. That's less conflict. We don't have that. Yeah, we're special. We're awesome. They have outhouses in some countries older than America.
Yeah.
We're new. We come a long way. Again, less than 60 years ago, I wouldn't be able to drink from the same water fountain as you. We've come a long way. So quit buying into the hate America bull crap. We're awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Amen to that. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Tony, I want to thank you for this conversation. Those of you out there that are watching or listening to this, again, these are the reasons why it's so important for groups like NFOA to reach out. We've got, and I'm just going to go on a little rant here real quick. We've got almost 10,000 documented members across the state. We've got almost 30,000 followers across social media. And yet, whenever it comes time to have people show up to committee hearings on gun bills in Lincoln, or even just submit online comments. If you can't get off work that day, we get it. It's calving season, or it's busy time of year at the factory. Whatever you do for work, not everybody can just take the time to go to Lincoln, and some of you it's a 4 or 5 hour drive to get there. So we understand that's why these online comments are so important now that you can get to from the legislature's website. But whenever we ask for help to get some of these bills advanced, or to get some of these bills stopped in the legislature, we get a handful of people that actually will do it. And you can literally sit on your behind and help. You don't even have to get up from your chair, to do great things here. All we need is a little bit of help when it comes to asking for volunteers to help us out, go to some gun shows or things like that. We get crickets back. So if the majority of our membership is going to just sit and expect somebody else to do the heavy lifting, then you can bet your backside that I and most of our board members, I think all of our current board, nobody's corrected me yet and said that they disagree. I won't speak for the other 6, but nobody's told me that they don't like the things that I say on these town halls. We're going to go out and we're going to actively recruit more members that are actually willing to help. And if it's the new gun owner who just now got their eyes opened to the fact that the gun laws actually suck in Nebraska. We're not a red state when it comes to firearms. We're purple. Now we are starting to tip the pendulum the other direction, but we've got a lot of work to do to keep pushing it that way and get it back over to where we want it to be. And so if you're not going to help us, that's fine. You can still be a member. We're not going to revoke that membership. We're happy to have you as a member. We really want the people that are going to help us out, though. And we're going to have events like this that reach out to, again, the not John Anderson crowd. And again, it's not all about skin color. It's not all about religion. If you're in a community that, and again, I say rainbow community because honestly, with no disrespect intended, I can't keep all the initials straight. After LGBT, it falls apart on me. But if you're in that rainbow, in that pride community, we want you as a gun owner. We want you to come check it out. Again, you are welcome at this event. I don't care who you are. If you're able to possess a firearm, you're not blocked by being a felon or something like that, then we want you to come to this event and learn about the gun safety and fire the gun. So again, I need your help, all of you right now listening, to help spread the word and get the word out, because we don't have time for advertisements. We don't have time for flyers and stuff like that. We've got 5 days now, not even 5 days. We've got 4 days now. Lost track of what day it is. And 2 of those days are the weekend. So, we need your help to just spread the word, get those folks out. And again, yeah, typically, like Tony said, it's the most adventurous one in their circle, whether it's family circle, friend circle, whatever it is. But if we can get some interest, then we'll do this again. We'll get some fundraiser dollars going somehow, and we'll figure out a way to pay for this to happen again. And hopefully, Lord willing, that 501c takes off for Tony, and we can have you out here next year for this. So it would be cool to have a couple of these in the meantime, and then people can come and meet the Godfather of this event. So what is it? The OG.
The OG. So I'm actually planning. The 501c3 is definitely going to go through. I don't know how long it takes for that paperwork to go through. I have the physical address for it and everything, so that gets kicked off. Awesome. Second thing I'm going to do, we already know Big Shots is willing to host it at least this year. I'm like, look, that same week next year seems like a great thing to do. And that allows me to make announcements from January until the event. That allows us to be on shows and talk about it. I want to do 2 tours in 2024. I want to do one in the West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington State, and I want to do one in the Midwest. And maybe we can squeeze something in Florida. I want to do it because I want to figure out how to establish diversity shoots in different states. I want to figure out how to do this. I actually talked to Robin Sandoval about that because she has her organization. Each state has their own rep. I want to figure out how to do that so we can get this thing going nationwide. It's going to have to be from every angle. My next event here is in, I just actually had to look it up. It's actually June 15th in Monroe, New Jersey. And I'm going to be advertising that tomorrow. I'll create the tickets in Eventbrite. It's important that we get word out. If you can't come out to events, use your social media to spread the word, because anytime you say firearm, they're going to freaking shadow ban us anyway. Yeah. So we need your help. We need you to join organizations like yours so you get the newsletter. Just in case they black you out on social media, you get the newsletter because you guys are on Twitter, you guys are on IG, but it doesn't mean they don't tamp you down. They knocked about 50% of my reach out in the last 2 months. I've gone from reaching about 25,000 people a month to reaching 17,000 people in the last 30 days. Same content, same everything. I'm almost down by half. They did that. So you have to figure out how to spread the word. Stop going, I can't get off of work. You don't need to get off work to share on your social media. You don't need to get off work to do your Zoom, because I work in Trenton, New Jersey. And sometimes they go, oh, tomorrow we're having testimony. No, I'm not taking a day off because you guys ambushed us with something less than 24-hour notice. I have job schedule that I have to get to. But I figure out a way to either testify, spread the word, I do something. When you look at yourself in the mirror, when you go to sleep at night, when you're watching movies like The Patriot, I know most of you imagine yourself being Mel Gibson, but at no time in that movie after it started did Mel Gibson go, look, I'm busy, I gotta work. I can't go out and do this. But because you got to get involved. If you want to be seen as the hero, you got to do hero stuff. And we don't have to do it like they had to do it back then. The people that signed the Declaration of Independence put their lives on the line. They put their lives on the line. Many of them ended up either dead or broke. We're just asking you to share a freaking Zoom address, bro.
Yep, exactly right. Okay, so I want to go through just a couple of these comments that I had put up on the or out in the chat. Anyway, I'm going to put these on the screen. So if you want to learn more about Tony's organization, The Second is for Everyone, go to diversityshoot.com. That is up on the screen right now. And also, we thanks to Nate, we do have the address. So this Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's Central Time. I always joke the only time zone that matters because that's the one I live in. Big Shots Indoor Range, 399 Sun Valley Boulevard in Lincoln. That is up on the screen right now. So if anybody needs to go back through and pause this so you can write that down, plug it into your Google Maps or your Apple Maps, and you can flag that location so it'll take you right to it later. So very cool stuff that technology allows for us to do. Also, again, if you haven't noticed that scrolling ticker at the bottom of the screen, make sure you do join. If you're not a Nebraska resident, you can still be an associate member. You just don't get to vote for things like who sits on the board and things like that. But if you live in Nebraska and you own firearms, you really need to join our organization because, again, this is where you're going to find out what's happening in the unicameral. This is where you're going to find out what you can do if you want to help. And I run into so many people just day-to-day life saying, well, it doesn't matter what we do, or our votes don't matter, or things like that. And, if I'm at work, like, it's all I can do to just bite my tongue and not blow up on these people and be like, this is why our votes don't matter, because that mindset. So I refuse to believe that what I do doesn't make a difference. And I'm not saying that I had any big part. I know I'm a small cog in a great big machine, but just knowing that that constitutional carry came to Nebraska while I was part of this board, I mean, that's a source of pride that nobody's ever going to take away from me. And if you have anybody that wants to be part of this, please, we want them in our organization. Again, I don't care what political party they're registered to, or even if they voted. That doesn't matter. We want them in our fold. I don't care who they love, bring them in. I don't care who they worship or if they worship, bring them in. I don't care what they look like. I don't care about anything other than they believe that the shall not be infringed in that Second Amendment is absolute. Some amendments are absolute, President Biden. The 19th Amendment would be a great one, right? The 13th Amendment would be a great one. So those are absolute, right? Even the 26th Amendment is absolute. We can't pick and choose who has the rights to vote or who is actually a free person in this country. So everybody is, right, by law. The Second Amendment
that's why I have the Second Amendment, to make sure they don't renege on some of the others.
On some of the others. That's right. That's right. But as you pointed out, there are people, a lot of people right now that still remember Jim Crow, black or not, that still remember it. And again, there's just we can't think that it was that long ago, because you're right, it really wasn't. It was before my day, thank goodness. But yeah, we don't keep these rights by sitting on our butts. Okay, we gain ground a little bit at a time, but it's also important to not lose ground, and that's why we want everybody in our fold. We want diversity through our organization. We're not. It's nothing to do with affirmative action. I don't want people just because they're black. I don't want people just because they're transsexual, just because they're Muslim or Sikh or what have you. I want people because they're people, and the rest of that stuff shouldn't be a bar from becoming part of the organization. And I want people to reach out to all those folks that you think, again, they've told you that, guns aren't for them, or they grew up being told, well, because you're this, that you don't belong in the gun community. And that's all hooey. None of that is true. So bring those people in, get the word out. That's what we need from you right now. And again, if you've got the time to donate, you can show up and help out in some way. Come out, hang out, see what it's all about. And the more volunteers we can get, again, we can, if we have a successful event, that makes it really easy to recreate later. If nobody comes, it's not as likely to get anybody else to decide to help us later either. So it goes both ways. With that, I'm going to shut up and give Nate, if you have anything else you wanted to add or ask questions. We haven't really let you get a word in edgewise all night.
Well, that's all right. I did my thing and looked up the address. So.
Very much appreciated.
I just want to reiterate what you said. Let's all show up down there Tuesday. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really sorry that Tony can't be here with us this time, but we're going to have a good event and build on it for the next time around. I did attend the event a couple of years ago when we did it, and I didn't stick around and shoot. I figured there's enough people that needed to shoot, and I had some other things I had to go do, but I heard the presentation and got to meet Tony, and it was a really good experience. I'm sure you'll all enjoy it next week when we go down there on Tuesday.
Right. It's going to be a blast, and Lord willing, and the creek doesn't rise, I'll be there too. So you can come hang out with Nate and myself, our president, Trish Harold. I know that there's going to be a few other volunteers as well coming in and helping out. If you're an instructor, absolutely contact us, find out how you can help. If you're a range safety officer, we need some help there. Again, if you just want to come see what it's all about, that's really what we're talking about. And if you can bring somebody with you, and again, one group that we've left out is just females. The fastest growing demographic in the firearm owning world is females in general. And, again, if you've got female friends who are curious about guns, they would like to be able to use a firearm for protection, but have no idea how to go about it. And I know a lot of folks are terrified, men and women, terrified of guns because they don't understand them. This is a great place to come and put a couple shots downrange, safe, responsible environment with trained professionals helping you out. So again, get those feelers out, because and just invite everybody, because that's really what 2A is for everyone. The second is for everyone means is everyone. So that's who we want to invite to this event. Tony, I'll give you a chance for any final thoughts that we didn't get a chance to let you have here.
Yeah, I just had gravity attack everything on my desk and throw it on the floor, so I survived that. The second is for everyone is something I came up with because I felt it filled a need. We have to do this. Each and every one of us have to become an advocate. And if you have trouble talking to somebody, if you have trouble keeping your temper, maybe that's not where you should be. You shouldn't be that kind of ambassador. Maybe you should be the person that shows up with ammo and donates it. Maybe you should be the person that helps with the food bill. Everybody has a part to play. Everybody ain't gonna have the same assets. Diversity includes your skill set, whatever that may be. It's not only about skin color. It's about what can you bring to the table. And maybe you can just bring bodies to the table. Maybe you can just help lift stuff, move stuff at an event, because you don't want to be out front, or maybe you are nervous around people and have social anxiety. There are things you can do from the house. Participate. We need you in this fight. Everybody wants to stay there on a team when they're racking up wins. Well, you got to get there. And we're getting there one step at a time. We're winning one step at a time. We need you. We need you to bring people in. If you ain't good at talking, that's fine. John is. Bring them to the event, introduce them. All right? You did your part. You drove the car. That's it. That's it. You drove the car. We all can contribute to this. Please do. Figure out a way to do it. Join local organizations, regardless of where you are, because it helps spread the word. And if you don't belong to Nebraska Firearms Owners Association, do it. Why? It allows you to spread the word on your social media, even if you don't live in that state, because you don't know who does. You don't know who follows your thread and sees your story and go, hey, Mom, did you see this? Yeah, I know I'm in Florida, but I just saw this going down. Yeah. Now all of a sudden, people back home in a circle that's not even connected to yours that you know about have connected. Never underestimate people that are watching you but not saying anything. Very cool. If you want to help us out, diversityshoot.com, go there. We're taking donations. We're working on the site all the time because of Venmo, Cash App, and things like that. We're creating more ways for you to donate to us. Once we hit the 501c3, we're going to have really cool donations because I've already talked to companies at multiple SHOT shows. So we're going to have things like uppers and stuff like that for giveaway items. Awesome. So God bless you. And as my man Ken Blanchard said, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
That's awesome. All right, real quick before we go, some of the organizations that Tony had brought up earlier in the conversation, I did post links to their websites out in the chat. So if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, you can turn on that live chat replay, and you can see all these YouTube comments coming in. On Facebook, they just stay there indefinitely anyway. But Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership, there's the website there on the screen, drgo.us. We talked about Walk the Talk America, and it's just wtta.org. And then also Hold My Guns is holdmyguns.org. And if you are an FFL, or you know someone who is, or you've got your favorite FFL, talk to them about this, because they don't have near enough FFLs across the country. They've only got in a few states right now that they've got official partners. But Sarah's vision for this organization is to have this, in almost every FFL eventually, where it's a safe place to have guns stored. And again, it doesn't have to be because you're going through some stuff. Maybe you're going on vacation. Maybe somebody's getting deployed. The house is going to be empty for a while. Maybe somebody's grandfather passed away and they've got an estate that it's messy to clean it up, so the guns can be stored there so that they're safe and accounted for, right? None of them disappear. There's lots of reasons why people would use Hold My Guns. That's on top of the mental health aspect of it, which is definitely worth talking about. So go check those organizations out as well. And again, I can't stress it enough. If you're not a member, please join us. We want you as a member. Membership is $0. So when I said I'm cutting the 0 in half, that was a joke. It really is nothing. And that nothing is what Nate and I get paid to do this. So I don't say that to brag that, look at us, or to virtue signal. I say that because if Nate and I didn't believe in NFOA, if the other 5 board members didn't believe in NFOA as well, we wouldn't do this, because we don't get paid for this. So we do it because it's our passion. We do it because we want to. And that's exactly why I love the fact that we don't have any paid positions here, because we don't have anybody showing up just to collect a paycheck and not putting in the work. Right. So that's why it's so important to me to be part of an organization like this one. And plus we're the only one in the state that actually does what we do. So again, go check us out there. All right. On behalf of Nate and Tony and all of you that are now going to show up over at our celebrating diversity free fun shoot over at Big Shots Indoor Range next Tuesday. Thank you very much for joining us. Please help share this, get the word out. The main thing is come and check out what guns are all about. That's what the event's for. May 23rd, Big Shots Indoor Range, Lincoln, Nebraska, 399. What was that? Sun Valley Boulevard, I believe it was.
Yes.
They're in Lincoln, and that's from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Go to Eventbrite, find the Eventbrite link in the description of this video tonight, and sign up, because there are a limited number of spots. They're free, but you've got to sign up. If you just show up unannounced and you haven't registered, if we've got room, you're in. If we haven't got room, then hang out with us, and we'll either try to fit you in, or you know what, that's just incentive to do this again. So I want enough people that show up that just there's no room left in that place, and completely give us a reason to keep doing this. That would be great. So thank you guys. We'll give you back your night. We've taken up about an hour and a half of it. God bless you all, and we will see you there.